This is the first owning in 2017 video, so let's make it a banger. Hi guys, I'm Ryan Thomas and this is my take on the iPhone 5 just 4.5 years later. For reference, the phone in this video is my mother's, which was previously mine, hence the marks and artwork on the back. This is a phone that I spent a lot of my time with, and since it's in the house all the time, I think I can give a pretty good review. This phone is almost 5 years old now, and that's a decently long time in technology years, but one of my lecturers has an age-old iPhone 4, so I mean, it can't be that bad. With this age, you are going to have a lack of features that new phones have, such as a 1080p screen, 4K video recording, fingerprint scanner, Apple Pay, NFC, etc, etc. As for the price, you're going to be able to get one of these bad boys for well under 100 quid, as long as you don't mind any knocks or dings in it. You're not really going to be getting a decent condition one for sensible money, but you will get one without the artwork on the back. You can alternatively go for the 5C, which is the same internals with just a different look and build. I personally prefer this version, but you can get this one in white or black. The design of this phone carried a lot of assets from the iPhone 4, including flat sides and flat panels front and rear. The iPhone 5 lost the 4's full glass back to give you just two small glass panes, one on top and one on bottom. I personally like this design as it was the only one of Apple's phones to come with slate grey as opposed to the space grey. There is a difference, don't mock me. Note that this is the same with the iPad mini 1 and the iPad mini 2, where the iPad mini 1 had slate grey, the iPad mini 2 came in space grey. We do get a standard set of I/O and buttons with a headphone jack and a newfangled lightning port on the bottom next to the speaker and microphone. I say newfangled because this was one of the first devices to support the new and cool reversible USB-C cable that was locked to Apple devices. The camera sits in the glass panel up top next to the flash and microphone. It's not that complex, and that can be comforting to a lot of users. At least that's what I found when giving my mum her first smartphone, being the iPhone 5. And that's what really makes an iPhone. The ability to keep someone comfortable with their phone with giving them such powerful hardware compared to, say, I don't know, the old Nokias of the day. The build quality of iPhones will always be very good with a complete metal and glass build. A good grip and feel in the hand. Okay, so it might not have the sweeping curves like something from Samsung or LG phones of the time, but because the screen is smaller, anyone can really palm it perfectly. As you can see, the device has been mauled and trashed, but it still holds up so well. People always go on about iPhones having smashed screens, but I literally used to play football with this thing, soccer for you Americans, and I also used to throw it. This phone is the most incredible phone that I've ever used in terms of its durability. Maybe not all iPhone 5s are created equal or something, as a lot of my mates have had these phones smash their screen just by dropping it like 3 feet, but I've had such a quality experience with mine in terms of the build quality. I personally spent £130 on this in late May of 2015, and this thing was already 3 years old back then, and it already had dings in it. The screen on the iPhone 5 is 4 inches of sub 720p IPS panel, that in my opinion is actually quite good. Obviously, coming over from the iPhone 4, you do get the Retina display, which gives you 326 pixels per inch. Lots of people don't like the fact the resolution of this display is below 720p, but the pixel density is really what matters here, and 326 is more than enough. Anything you do on this, whether it's playing games, watching videos, browsing social media, or just setting your morning alarm like my mum does, you're going to have a good experience with this display. Okay, so you're not getting 5.5 inches, which is what I call the sweet spot for consuming content, but you do get one-handability and the convenience that comes with having a smaller device overall, like fitting it into smaller pockets and stuff like that. The camera on this bad boy is an 8 megapixel sensor that is capable of shooting 1080p video at 30 fps, and really is good enough for basically all that you need in a smartphone at this price. Obviously you could go with the G3 if you really wanted to step up to 4K video, but that's also a little bit more expensive, and this video is about the iPhone 5, not the XLG flagship. The 8 megapixel photos are actually alright, but this phone that I'm showing has a scratch on the lens, so you might be able to see that. The photos are good enough for Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. It's nowhere near the 6S, but the 6S is 5 times the price, so I wouldn't really worry about that. If you want slow motion though, you'll have to jump to the 5S for 120 frames per second, since this one doesn't have it in any kind of resolution or frame rate. The front camera isn't anything special, with a 1.2 megapixel sensor that can shoot about 720p, 30 fps. The selfies aren't the worst in the world, but you're not going to be taking ultra high quality Instagram 100k followers grade selfies. It's not going to do that, but at least it's there. Apple opted to go with the A6 chip in this device, which was their best at the time, and it was a bit of a workhorse at the time. where nowadays the 1.3 gigahertz dual core chip falls short. I mean, it's really not that bad, and games seem to work alright. The chip holds up okay in terms of its price. Pokemon Go runs on it, and that's pretty much the most important thing, right? But seriously, you can play your 2D freemiums on here no problem. Even multitasking with the 1GB of RAM isn't too much hassle because of iOS's optimization, but you're not going to be getting anything really high quality on this device. Software on this device is still good, with it starting off life with iOS 6, and the fact that it still runs the latest iOS version, which is 10.2 by the way, baffles me. Apple does a really incredible job of keeping old phones working, and this thing works absolutely flawlessly despite the fact it's almost 5 years old. Software crashes have not occurred in the time my mum's been using it due to the fact that she basically only uses it for alarms, emails, and texts, and maybe the occasional social media use. You are able to install pretty much any app you would like with the newest software with no problems, and because of Apple's excellent optimization, segue, the battery life on this isn't bad either, with about 3 to 4 hours of screen on time reporting online. Mother is able to go through a full day with no issue whatsoever with her limited use, but I wouldn't be expecting insane amounts on a device with like a 5-year-old battery. If this device had a removable battery, I may be saying otherwise, but you can't change it, so I can't say anything about that. The battery itself is a 1440 mAh, which is an absolutely tiny cell, but if you can last a full day of limited use, then I'm not really complaining because it works. If this was a typical unoptimized Android device, then I could easily say that it's not good enough and that you should not buy this phone, but it's a well-optimized Apple device. I would actually easily recommend this. So all of you spec heads in the comments, don't go throwing axes about just because, you are a spec head and this is not meeting your requirements of a 3000 mAh battery. The speaker really isn't too bad, being a bottom firing affair, but it's not going to beat the Nexus 6 in terms of sound quality or clarity, but it never was it? I'd call it a good enough speaker for the occasional YouTube video or maybe a song or two, but I'd make use of the headphone jack and Bluetooth to have a much better audio experience. This was the first iPhone to come with a lightning port, so you have that in USB 2.0 form. There's also a headphone jack which is becoming more and more of a luxury, especially in iPhones. You're not getting NFC or wireless charging here unfortunately though. The storage options are 16GB, 32GB or 64GB with no microSD expansion, so the cloud is your best friend with this device. You want to have all of your photos, videos and music in the cloud or in streaming services, with storing your apps and games locally ideally, because there is not enough room here. So, with a device that's almost 5 years old, do I think you should buy it? I would personally go to the 5S for the better camera and fingerprint scanner if you want to buy a cheap 4-inch phone, but I personally go for the Nexus 5 as long as you didn't run into the boot loop problems. None of this is to say I don't recommend the 5 though. As a workhorse for not only myself, but the previous owner for 3 years and also my mother, this thing is a monster in terms of longevity, and fun fact, this is the longest I've ever actually kept a phone in the family for. It'll be the phone that brought me back to iOS actually. I'll just add that I'm on the S7 Edge now, and I'll happily go for the iPhone 7 Plus if they want to send it to me. Come on Apple, send it to me. Thanks for watching and supporting guys. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, subscribe if you're new, and comment telling me what you think about the iPhone 5. Do you have it? Has it lasted you a long time? Is it not? I don't know. Maybe you want to purchase one. Let me know. Catch you in the next one guys. Peace.